Alright, in today's video I'm going to get the engine and the transmission mated up and then setting in the S10 frame. One reason I want to do that is I want to get the cross member for the transmission taken care of. I'll have to get that fabbed up, but I'm really just looking to get the pinion angle set and make sure we're going to be in good shape there. So I'm pulling the AC compressor off, the exhaust manifolds off, and I'll get the wiring off. And once that's done, I'll come back. Well, here you can see I got a little impatient. I've got all the wiring off. I have obviously the exhaust manifolds off, and I removed the factory motor mounts, and I've just got these on loose. I'm still moving them around. And then same on the other side, it's right here in the truck. Or in the frame. I've already mounted this one. It's not super tight, but it is more than finger tight. So what I was going to do is show you how this gets assembled. It's pretty quick and easy. This is purely mock-up. We're not trying to tighten anything down. I just want to see how the engine's going to fit. I'm just going to run these down. These are the inserts, the bushings. Alright, so now we have both mounts bolted into the frame. Now I just need to get the engine on the hoist, try and locate it, and see how it fits in here. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of doing all that, and then I'll come back once I'm trying to get this fitted on here. Alright, well, we're going to lower the engine and see if we can get it to go. I've got a couple punches I'm going to use for alignment pins. If you're going to do this by yourself, I would suggest you get somebody to help you. So the pin went right in over on this side. I'm going to go ahead and throw one of the bolts in. Here in a second I'll show you what we're kind of rubbing on. Right, see if we can get that other bolt in. Alright, so just real quick, you can see these bolts are still loose. I'm going to go ahead and at least get these snugged down, and right here the oil pan is on the brake line. So I do believe I'm going to end up with a different oil pan. But I'm going to go ahead and get this tightened up and just see how things are looking once we get there. We got some minor clearance issues here, or potential clearance issues I should say. But all in all, it's in there, motor mounts are in place. Okay. Alright, got everything kind of snugged up, and it's time to see if it falls out. It is holding itself, and we're still on that brake line, so we will definitely be changing out the oil pan. Here there's plenty of clearance. Still gonna get the transmission in. I've ran out of time this evening to do that, but I'm gonna get that in and see if that changes anything. All right, here you can see we've got the transmission up in the air. I'm going to, I took out the cross member, but I'm going to go ahead and bolt it up just to see kind of how it lays. I'll put a jack under this once I get it bolted up, and then I'm going to adjust it for the pinion angle and see where I'm at with that. I also think that I need to jack up either jack up the front of the frame, or just get my angle from the frame and then do the math to figure out what the actual pinion angle is on the transmission. I'm going to go ahead and get this lined up and get a few bolts in, and then we'll go from there. All right, here you can see we have the angle finder on the tail shaft. So on here I believe we're showing about 2 degrees, but the frame is sitting at 1 degree. So that gives us our 3-degree pinion angle. This is important for when we go to do the 4-link in the rear. You know, I could pull this out now knowing that our pinion angle needs to be 3 degrees. So now if I pull the engine and transmission back out, I can still do the 4-link without the engine and transmission in, knowing that we need a 3-degree pinion angle on the rear end. So I still want to try to make a cross member. So I'm going to work on figuring that out. I think I want to utilize the factory one. However, the way it mounts, I'm going to have to cut it and then cut the other side and then fabricate the rest of it. And I'm going to actually go do some research on that and get an idea what other people are doing and go from there. So it is time to customize this cross member for this transmission. All I know for sure is I'm gonna cut this off, and same thing over here, just gonna cut it off. I'll get each piece mounted in the factory locations and then regroup, and we'll see where we end up. While trying to figure out what I was going to do with the cross member, I decided it was time to buy this welding table, and Harbor Freight actually had it in stock, and I also needed the chop saw. So I went ahead and purchased these 2 items, and I've got to start on something on the cross member. I just don't know how it's going to turn out, and I think for now I'm just trying to get something to hold the transmission, and in the end I'll probably come up with something different. I know this is 1x1, it is 1/8 inch wall. I think it'll work just for holding the transmission for now. We'll revisit it as we get a little further into this project, but I need to be able to get this whole assembly out of the garage as one unit, so I can work on something else. Alright, you can see we've got the temporary cross member in place. The engine looks a little more LS-y. Everything's looking pretty good. One of my earlier concerns was the oil pan hitting that brake line, and now that we have the pinion angle correct, that has changed. However, I still think that oil pan is going to sit down lower than I want it to, because I don't want it to be any lower than that cross member for the engine. because I would like to lay this down on its frame. You can see I got the intake on with the engine cover here. And let's take a look here. And the pinion angle, I've moved it in the garage, so we might have some different angles, but it's still right in line with where it needs to be. And just a quick look at the cross member. Again, this is temporary, so if you want to judge it, that's great. But either way, just something to hold it in place. I was, you know, ideally you want to hit it on the first shot, but I don't think the 1 inch by 1 inch is going to be sufficient to carry the load that it needs to, so we'll see. Part of my thoughts behind that is I see a lot of round bar being used, and it's probably 1.25 inches, maybe 1.125 inches, and this is 1 by 1/8 inch wall. So I thought maybe it would work, but I'm not so sure. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them, so let me know what you're thinking, and if you have any thoughts or any good feedback on this build. I think I've said this before, this is the first time I'm doing anything like this, so I don't really know what I'm getting into. As you can see, I got a little impatient and went ahead and just mocked up these headers. Only got 2 bolts in it, and the clearance is going to be great on this side, on the passenger side. No issues that I see whatsoever. The driver's side is the area that I'm a little concerned about, just as it pertains to the steering. As you can see, the steering shaft is right here. I do have a steering shaft. Yeah, so this is going to be something I'm going to have to figure out. So yeah, that's going to be potentially an issue, but aside from that, everything looks pretty good. I just wanted to give you that little update.